All right, welcome to Virtual Natural Balance Masterclass. What is natural balance? Let's start there. Well, natural balance is a global movement that expresses through the hearts and minds of the people, and it's specifically global because of the place that it's expressing through, and it's infinite because of the source where it's coming from. Now, my name is Neal, and I'm the host of this virtual space. Now, this virtual space is virtual and it's also physical. But tonight we're in this virtual space. See, my name is Neal, but Neal's not who I am. Uh, who I am is this infinite, multi-dimensional spiritual being that's expressing through a human body. And when people say the name Neal, I answer, and when people communicate like, "Hey Neal, would you want to like do this?" I may respond to them, but it's a response coming from completion, and it's a response coming from the I amness, the balance that's already inside of me. It's not coming from the programs, the perceptions, the expectations, the opinions, the my truths. It's coming from, hey, here I am. I'm complete. Yeah, there's still a journey to go, but in this moment, I'm complete. And from that completion, I can generate a response to any conversation, to any situation, to any communication. And the response is tapping into authenticity. And authentically, natural balance is inherent. And last week, I really spoke to surrender. So, surrender is access to natural balance coming through us. And well, what are we surrendering? Our perceptions, our opinions, our expectations, our my truths, or we're hanging on to them. And if we hang on to them, that's all right. You can have an expectation, you can have a perception, you can have a my truth, you can have an opinion, but the hanging on to them generates suffering, and specifically when it's hanging on in the form of attachment. We can have a perception for a while and then have a shift in perception, and then through that, let go of the perception that we previously were hanging on to. And that I would call like a healing taking place. A something higher being revealed that was only partially present before the the moreness, the greater perception was revealed. So, let's see. Who wants to share?
So when you were talking about response from completion, I realized this week that like I'm seeing it like differently. That I'm able like to more sit and feel and respond from different place. So I felt when you were sharing about this, like responding from completion, uh, it's like remind my journey. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. What's the different place you're responding from?
Mm, um, I think that it's that place like if it's some situation happening, I am able to see it, oh, maybe it's not personally, or not creating that stories behind it. I can still feel that, I can go there, but I realized that it's much easier to um, just don't focus on that and focus on what is important at that moment. So I would say, yeah, I think that I expressed what I expressed. What did you hear?
Amazing. Yes, I received. It's like responding from, first of all, not taking it personally, and then second of all, being able to take it personally, being able to actually feel it, and and have capacity to not take it personal, and then responding from an impersonal place, which that's what I heard, and it's similar to where I'm speaking from, because the in a state of completion, it's recognizing, and this is now where I'm operating from, which is from a space of completion. And this is new that I'm operating from this specific place. So I'm also discovering it as first of all, articulating it here, but also secondly of all, actually living it. So it from completion is all right. I'm whole and complete. Uh, like the heaven on earth is already birthed. God's plan is already complete, and it's speaking from the future, and I can have that future. That's the completion that I'm rooted in. So that's already complete. That's already complete inside of this, inside of who I am. And then so so now when the conversation shows up or when the situation shows up, yes, I can feel it, I can have it be personal. And I can also relate to it impersonally from a space of completion, knowing that God's plan is already complete, and knowing that what's occurring right now in this moment is actually part of God's plan. And then additionally, knowing that because I'm complete in the future, I'm living the past, and the past that I'm living is a catalyst that is growing me into the complete future that I'm operating from. And so that's what I'm saying when I'm saying coming from completion.
Yeah, but you are still living it at the same and at this moment.
Correct. Is there more you want to share, or does that feel complete?
I feel complete. So,
So now, so now what? Um, Now what after completion is the purification process, is the initiatory process. Um, this arose today in multiple people, and actually I've been directly experiencing it. You watching this have been directly experiencing it. You on this call have been directly experiencing it. What's it? Well, it is the initiatory process. It's an initiation. This initiation is different for each person, and it's different based on our specific gifts and contributions. So, one initiatory process for one person may be completely different than an initiatory process for another person. One person may need a catalyst to, let's say, be beat by a drunk father, and that being an initiatory process. And another person may need being connected and like literally living in nature as part of their initiatory process. And it could even be the same person, and different initiations at different stages of life. So we're always going through an initiatory process, and this initiatory process is like the tests. It's like the things that come and test us. It's also like the flying monkeys. Uh, when you declare something, there's tests, there's flying monkeys that show up to see how firm that I am in the declaration that I actually stated. So then that is an initiation. But if we resist those tests, if we resist those initiations, then ultimately we're suffering. And not only are we suffering in the moment, because we didn't like go through the initiation and receive the gift of it, then it'll show up again in the future for us to have an opportunity to grow again, to see, hey, are you still committed to this thing? Hey, are you, if you're still committed to this thing, are you going to pass the test now that it showed up? And then we get another go at it. And then we keep getting these goes at it until we either say, fuck this commitment, these tests are bullshit, and then we make a new commitment, or we actually pass the initiation, we actually pass the test, and we grow and we transcend the test, we transcend. That's where it then becomes impersonal. It's personal in the moment. The test comes and it's personal. It's like, yeah, I can choose to go personal or impersonal, but like right off the bat, I can like take it deeply personal to see like, hey, what's going on inside of me, to see if there's something that this conversation, that this situation, that this environment is wanting to like have be grown, or have be transcended, or have be looked at that hasn't been looked at before. And then if I pass that, then I've transcended the need for that test to show up again. But so the commitment is also like our why. It's like the underlying factor of why we do anything. So the why is like, I went and walked over there and got a glass of water and drank half of it. Why did I do that? Well, the why might be like thirst. The why might be physical well-being. The why may be hydration. The why. So continuing to trace the why ultimately may be a commitment to health and well-being. The why is the underlying thing of why we do anything. There's a reason, there's a why for everything, and directly married with that why is the commitment of like, what is the thing that has been committed to that has this why be here in the first place? And the commitment may very well be the why. And then commitments can be made with other people, but those are less powerful. Powerful commitments are made with a soul and God. So they're made, the soul and God at making a commitment. That is a powerful commitment. That is a commitment that will generate a why that will transcend the need to like have uh people like you, transcend the need to have people approve of you, transcend the need for significance. The commitment between the soul and God is what has it's when you have a commitment that is divine, it's that commitment that you can use to be in the world, but not be of the world, where you can be spirit in form, operating in form, remembering that you're spirit and being in form, coming from completion and being in an environment where everything around you is telling you that incompletion is what is real, and it is what's real, but in truth completion is the truth. And so when I come from completion, I don't tolerate anyone, anything, any situation communicating like it's incomplete. Because of the completion that I am, I can only see completion in you and in the environment and in the conversation. And there's times when I'll like go into Neal, where I'll be in an expectation, where I'll be in a perception, or I'll be in an opinion. When I'm in an opinion or an expectation or a perception, it's in those moments that I'm coming from incompletion. And it's in those moments that I will accept incompletion from other people. And so when I'm truly complete, what I see and feel is completion. And when I move into incompletion, what I see and feel is incompletion. And it's all like directly correlated with the focus. What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on inherently who I am, or am I focused on the story that is inside of who I am, that's trying to tell who I am what I am is based on a story that it's making up? Uh, and because we live in an and world, and
Like that, you are speaking about that completion and uncompletion when like whatever you feel inside, you will like receive. And so I had a conversation today in my coaching call with Sarah Jean about like worthiness and our worthiness and like this like realization. Yeah, it's all about like how I see myself. If I see myself worthy, then I am finding myself in situations where I am worthy. So this is just
is there more, or is that complete?
um well, when you were speaking about the commitment between soul and God, and that this is that commitment will transform all the like mind. It's just it was just really powerful. Like, yeah, thank you for that. I just feel that so I'm sweet.
You're welcome. Is there more, or is that complete? So you spoke to something which is what's happening inside is reflected in the external environment. Surprise. Um, we've been told lies. Um, so here's some of the lies we've been told. Death exists. That's a lie. Silence exists. That's a lie. In truth, it's all inside. So there being an outside is a lie. And so now, in addition, everything is happening inside of who I am. Everything is happening inside of when we go inside, that's where everything is occurring. So, I'm going to give an example, which I'll just give this example. It'll reveal whatever degree that it does. But so how do we see? Well, we look at something and then we see it. No, that's not how we see. Our eyes pick up light photons that are coming off of objects. Our eyes don't see. Our eyes are receivers of light. And then we have a brain. So light is received by our eyes, goes into our brain in the darkness of our skull, and then we generate a picture, and we call that seeing. We say, I've now picked up this light. I'm now looking at it in the darkness of my brain, and I'm calling this seeing. So what we're looking at is inside of us. And everything that we're experiencing is inside of us. When a conversation happens, what happens? You hear it in your brain, you feel it in your body. When you're by a river, when you're by a waterfall, you feel brain inside your skull. It looks like it's outside, but it's a projection inside of what is being picked up from the outside. Then in addition to that, there's a feeling generated inside the body. And this feeling generated is where? It's inside the body. It's not outside the body. You could say the feeling's out there, but where are you feeling it? You're feeling it inside. So it truly is all happening inside of us. There actually is no outside of us. And that's why when we change what's going on inside of us energetically, perception wise, expectation wise, opinion wise, my truths, when we change these things inside, it automatically changes reality. Like literally the atomic structure of reality changes and alchemizes and morphs in direct reflection to the internal change that's occurred. And so to produce any change, we go where? Within. And if we go outside of us and start to look to change our environment, we've skipped a step, which is the environment is the result of our internal state. So by changing our internal way of being and changing the identity and then marrying a feeling to the identity that is a vibrational match to the identity, and then embodying it, stepping into that identity with the energy that that identity actually carries, produces, and expresses into the world, it is through that reality reflects the identity that we've stepped into, the way of being that we are. And when reality does not reflect that identity and way of being that we are, which often happens in the beginning stages of embracing a new identity, of embracing a new way of being, that's the test. That's the initiation. That's the thing showing up to be like, oh, you're this identity now. Bullshit. Like, here's the test. And then the test shows up in the form, it looks like bullshit. It looks like, wow, this is like the exact, it's like you're, stepping into the identity of abundance, and then an abundance person is a resourceful person, is a person who gives gratitude in the like an abundant person is a grateful person. So then as you're embodying this identity of abundance, what'll show up is a situation that'll have you like in lack and looking for like how can I get more, and it'll have you, the test will be getting you out of gratitude, and the passing of the test is to notice, oh, I'm actually abundance. That's who I am. That's the identity that I am. I'm resourceful. I'm safe in this abundance. And I'm really grateful for the air that I'm breathing right now. Wow, there's like an abundance of air. Can you believe how much air I'm breathing? Like, wow, I'm so grateful. And so, thus transcending the test that showed up to come and see if we're actually going to be the identity that we've declared, if we're actually going to be the thing that we've committed to, if we're actually going to be what we say that we are, what the commitment that we've made, which is the why of why we're being abundance in the first place. Why even be abundant? Well, one reason might be to like overflow that abundance and actually serve people. And another reason for being abundance may be to like literally give more food to more people. It may be literally to give more water to more people. It may literally be to have roofs over people's heads. And so why even have abundance is, see, the commitment can be abundance, but there's a commitment even greater than the commitment to abundance, which is why be the identity of abundance in the first place. Shares.
Well, during your sharing, when you were talking, it was coming like you were speaking about going inside instead to looking for it outside. And there was coming like when I am in the nature, I realized that it's just much more like easier to tap in this frequency, I would say. And I was like curious during your sharing, because when you said going in that like the frequencies inside. So when I'm going to the nature, that is what is inside.
What do you think?
Well, I didn't look on that like that before. But I realized I have like a new practice every morning, and I am like chanting in the nature. And it's just such a, like I feel like in some portal. It's like that my voice with that sound of that harmonia and the nature, I feel that they are like it's like I don't know how to describe. It's like totally different, like frequency. And that spirit, it's just like going through me. Like the sounds what are coming are just like such a like healing process. It's like um just creating like more spaciousness like here on my throat chakra and my heart. And I feel it's inside, but it's like the nature. It's like the um, I don't know, like a mother, like
Is there more, or is that complete?
something. Thank you.
You're welcome. How I see the question that you proposed, which is the nature frequency, is that inside? Yes. How are you in nature in the first place? Um, all right, how am I in any environment in the first place? I tune inside of myself to the frequency of that environment. And once I tune inside of myself to the frequency of nature, and nature has different environments, so even the specific environment in nature, when I tune my frequency to that frequency, guess where my body is, or happens to step into nature, into the frequency that I've already embodied inside of my being. In addition to this, the Neal's like all of a sudden wanting to have a conversation. No. Um, in addition to tapping into nature, tapping into the frequency that has us be in the environment of the frequency that we've already tapped into. With that, there's this, if I only stay in the perception that Neal is who I am, then I can never have the full on experience of the completion that I'm communicating from. Because if Neal is all of who I am, then how can everything exist inside of this body? Well, the truth is it can't. But I am includes all of the human bodies, all of nature, all of creation. I am is all inclusive, and everything is happening inside of I am. Now, I am happens to be flowing through this body, and and this body is inside of I am, but this I amness, this body is only an aspect of the completion of I am, which then from that place, now it's impersonal because I've transcended this little body. I've transcended these hands. I've transcended these ears, this nose, these eyes. I am coming from a place that is all inclusive, which is this space of oneness, which is infinite connection. And from that place, everything is happening within. And now a person who's identified with their body will say, no, it's not. No, it can't all happen inside this body. Well, you're right. But it can all happen inside of I am. And I am is in that body. Now, um, I believe that we need to transcend these bodies to or receive new bodies. But there's some amount of change or crystallization that requires occurring for us to have the full-on experience of oneness, for us to have the full-on experience of God, for us to have the full-on experience of merger with source, of being oneness, of being infinitely connected. I think in these bodies we get glimpses of it, but I don't think we ever have the full-on experience. And so that's complete for now.
Uh, I would love to share that being oneness, the moments of being oneness. I have experienced today in the morning when I was at the river chanting. I felt I like came in this place and this like that connection with nature. It's so like different. Like this big animal, I don't know how it's called in English. It was like a big, like small cat with this like a long tail. Like I think that it's living in the river, but it's like a big. And it was like jumping from rock to rock and like coming directly to me and just like didn't know about. But I just experienced that the animal like felt that frequency and we were like one. He like didn't like scared or something. And then he was like so close, just like across the like small river. And I stopped the chant because I was just like on this like and then he like looked at me and I felt like okay, now he could see me like a physical, so then he just like disappeared, you know, that like I like with that I like came back from that space, or I don't know if it makes sense. But it you remind me when you were sharing about this being experience of oneness. So like this was my experience for that moment, and I realized where I separate us. You know, like I was like, oh, this is the animal. Like, and at that moment, like my mind somehow created a story, and yeah, it was just
It's I received what you communicated. Um and you articulated it in a way where you spoke to once you had that moment, you created the separation, which was what had the animal be able to see you as a distinct person. Whereas, and what's so powerful about that is you created that. You created the I don't think we can create the oneness. We can just remember it and focus on it, which is what was happening. But what we can create is the illusion of separation. And when we create that, we see each other, and each other don't exist. So soon, in the next 3 minutes, we're entering a space of giving and receiving offers. Now, these offers are my gift to you and your gift to me. Now, you in truth doesn't actually exist. Me in truth doesn't actually exist. And in the illusion of time and separation, we can give and receive offers. And by receiving somebody's offer, we're receiving a part of the wholeness that we already are. And we're acknowledging that there's a gift here. There's something here that is part of who I am. And I may be seeing it as an aspect right now, but if I'm seeing it from a space of completion, and I look at the offer and I'm like, wow, this offer, by receiving this, it's actually living the past that is going into the future of the completion where I'm already coming from. And so when in this space of offers, have these offers be heartfelt, have them be from your heart, have them be from the natural balance that's always available inside of I am, and have them be something that is inspiring to the commitment that maybe it's a commitment just with oneself right now, but the most powerful offers are the offers coming from a commitment of soul and God, and having that commitment come in, be received by the heart, and then open up the mouth, and then have the commitment speak from the receiver of the heart. The commitment is the ground that I'm standing on when I'm making these offers, and that is what has and does allow for capacity to be grounded, to be in a space of love, to be in a space of authenticity, to be in the fullness of oneself, and to love that, and then to share that in the form of a gift. And because so now, who here leads events, and who here facilitates spaces with other people? So if that's you, and you know if it is, then I'm speaking directly to you. So the offer is the up level ceremony. And who is this for? Well, who this is for plateaued event leaders and event facilitators that you've already been growing. You've already transmuted a lot of energy inside of your body. You already have experienced moments of oneness, but there's a plateau where you're at, and you know that there's this next level. You know that there's this completion that you can operate from, but for some reason there's this distortion, there's this plateau that's still present. And so the up level ceremony is a 7-day event, and it's a minimum donation of $333 to secure your spot for the event. Now you get out what you put in. When you change your way of being inside of you, that's reflected literally outside of you. And if you want to donate more and promote natural balance, promote Neal, promote people going from being plateaued to being lit up with fire of radiance inside of their being, donate more. Because what you put out will be returned to you tenfold. And so you can donate as much as you want, but minimum is $333 donation. And during this 7-day event, it starts on December 27th, 2024, and it ends on January 2nd, 2025. The first 5 days are in silence without food, including 6 hours of meditation per day. These meditations are split into 2-hour windows. So this is food is information. When we don't have food, literally our intestines clear, our cells clear, our brain clears. There's a clearing and a cleansing that happens without food, and that is the opportunity. And in addition, the location where this is being at is on Earthwaking Grace 2 property, which is a 50-acre rural property here in Costa Rica that's being used for the purpose of establishing God's kingdom here on earth with full-on regenerative food, full-on regenerative water, full-on regenerative community living, housing, connection, and purpose. And this is a land that we shall be meditating with and on and as. And so then after the 5 days are complete, the next 2 days are days of, first of all, day number 6, we eat. What do we eat? Papayas, watermelon, mangoes, kale, bella, hibiscus, spinach. Like, we're eating fresh organic foods that are information, and introducing these into the body on day number 6. And then for those 2 next days, January 1st and 2nd, those are days of communication, of networking, of connection, of just being with the people that you've been in meditation with in silence for 5 days, but being in conversation. And what I promise is radiance in your body, radiance in your spirit, radiance in your soul, and just a general connection with oneself that maybe you didn't even know was possible. And I'm going to put all my information in the description of this video, and that's complete. I have another offer, and I would love if someone would go first before I make this other offer. Is anyone interested in making an offer tonight?
I would love to make an offer.
Yeah.
So offer which I have tonight, it's my art, an art of healing. And I am creating these amazing journals, intentional journals, where each art is coming in and creating with the intention of healing, and each art has a specific intention. So if someone is interested for have a piece of art for yourself or your friend or family, you can reach me out. I will chat, and
Where can people donate for your art?
Um, I have a bridge box, which I will try to put my information in the chat, but I don't have my link at this moment. So,
If you're watching this replay, the information is in the description of this video.
okay, cool.
And then is this art something that can be mailed or does it need to be in person?
It can be mailed. It's all about the connection and whatever it's wanted. So yeah, it can be mailed, it can be in person. If it's someone watching and it's coming to Costa Rica, it can be ordered ahead and be ready when people are coming for Remember Experience or some other event at Costa Rica.
Amazing. Yeah, if you can get that in the description of in this chat section, I'll then put it from the chat in the description of the video.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So my next offer is an offer for something. It's a new masterclass. So this masterclass is called the Structured Life Masterclass. It's pretty much the complete opposite of Natural Balance Masterclass. Natural Balance Masterclass is like super flowy. It's like there's some amount of structure that I've started bringing into it with this making of offers. But with Structured Life Masterclass, this masterclass is specifically designed for flowy people who don't have any organization in their day and they just go about their day whimsical and like intuitively. And by doing so, having an effect on what the potential of the schedule can actually bring to your day. So, are you someone who has been just like without a schedule? You just go about your day, and as things happen, you respond and react to those things. And so, if that's you, I'm inviting you to the Structured Life Masterclass, which is a 6-week masterclass starting on Saturday, July 27th. And it's specifically 6 weeks because this is a commitment only masterclass. For example, if I'm already 2 weeks into the masterclass and you're like, "Oh, it'd be nice to join this masterclass," well, that's too late. You need to start on day one, which is July 27th on a Saturday, and then commit to being there for 6 weeks to develop this structure. And the first structure you're developing is committing to the structure of the Structured Life Masterclass. And what I can promise you is going from flow to structure, from going from slavery to freedom, going from spirit to physical. And so that's upcoming. I think that's in like another 2 weeks, possibly. But it'll be here soon. And this is a free masterclass. So if you want to be in the Structured Life Masterclass, email me, and my email is in the description, and send me the words Structured Life Masterclass. And by sending me that, you're automatically in the masterclass. And again, it's a 6-week masterclass, and I promise you freedom through structure if you decide to commit to this masterclass. And all the details are in the description. And just go check that out. And be sure, if you're in, reach out directly. So that's complete.
How long
And
it will be that masterclass?
6 weeks.
And how much time during every Saturday?
1 hour.
Okay.
You're welcome. And with that, we have reached the completion of Natural Balance Masterclass. And have you put your things in the chat? It's the completion because it's done already. See, this master class was done before it started, and it started before it was done. And in eternity, there's no time, but in time, eternity is it's always available, but it's imperceivable if we're focused on time. So we choose what we focus on. What we focus on is where energy is flowing, and where energy is flowing is what is being grown and expanded. And so, if we focus our energy out there, we're focusing on our manifestation that's already occurred as a response to what's going on inside of us. And if we focus inside, what can and does happen is that we can we can change, navigate, transcend, and grow the experience inside of us and see reality reflected to us entirely differently. For example, tuning into the frequency of nature and finding yourself in an environment surrounded by nature. Uh, just like how is all this nature? How is this in my outside experience right now? Well, it's because of tuning into that same frequency in the internal experience and then opening up your eyes and being like, look, there it is. Like it's literally the feeling of what I've been feeling inside is being reflected in my external environment. So the only reason to ever look outside is to let us know what's going on inside of us. There is no outside. So when we look inside, we already know what's going to be outside of us. And if we are attached to the knowing what's outside of us, then we'll probably experience some suffering. But if we can maintain a knowing of what's going to be outside of us and then let that knowing go with the gratitude of being open to receive what is available when I open my eyes, then that's freedom and that is abundance. And I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Peace.